Hey everybody, welcome to Dad's Den of Pop Culture. We are deep in the heart of October, spooky month. But you know, spooky month is for more than just gore and terror and horror. It's also for the more fun side of spooky. For example, the films of the Three Stooges, in particular, the films that pit the Stooges against what I like to think of as goons, as monsters, as spooks. But there are 9 primary films that I decided to take a look at that I was going to rate or rank into from my least favorite to my most favorite goons, monsters, spooks. Now, this is not necessarily a rating of the Three Stooges short in its entirety, but I am going to be talking about those that are the ones I like the most, funniest, and also rating them for how many spooky Stooge tropes show up in each one. So let's get started on the lighter side of horror with Shemp, Larry, and Moe in The Ghost Talks from 1949. Now this one I rate lowest because the spooky thing that we're dealing with, well, it's kind of just a voice more than it is anything else. We begin with a spooky house. Always a good beginning for a spooky Stooge short, and definitely score some points with that. And the boys are there to move a bunch of furniture and obviously horrified by what they see. And they're going to end up running into Tom, Peeping Tom. In fact, a ghost who sort of possesses, is trapped inside this suit of armor. What did Peeping Tom do? He spied Lady Godiva when she was taking her ride. So, Shemp kind of first, I think, encounters him. We get all the basics of, oh my God. We get Moe, hair up, points scored for a Stooge spooky trope. For sure. Always love that. In fact, that was one of my favorite things when I was a kid. I think the first time I ever saw that, I just about died laughing. We also get the hat flying off of Larry's head. We get walking skeletons and skeletons playing chess. And we get the bird in the skull routine. So we're scoring a lot of points here on tropes. In the end, we also get Lady Godiva, who shows up to pick up Tom, whose years of punishment are apparently finally over. What happens to the Stooges? They start wolf whistling, howling, etc. I love that shot. And when they look out the window to see Lady Godiva riding by, they all get hit in the face with mystery pies. Another trope for spooky Stooge stuff. So the Ghost Talks, Peeping Tom, ranks 9th in terms of goon, but the short, actually pretty funny, and you do get 6 points on the Stooge trope-o-meter, so overall not that bad. Next up, we have a Joe Besser, The Three Stooges in Outer Space Jitters. With Emil Sitka, always like to see that. Gene Roth, Philip Van Zandt, Don Blocker. Sounds kind of familiar. Interesting. This is from 1957, so this is rather late, and it's honestly a mess, and it's not one of their better shorts. The planet of Sunev, Venus spelled backwards, somewhere in outer space. This one involves, there's aliens, and there's a Neanderthal that they brought back to life with electricity. And here's our goon for the evening. You got the teeth, you got the weird nose, a little makeup around the eyes, hair unkempt. Yeah, not Don Blocker. That is, in fact, Dan Blocker Haas from Bonanza, one of his earliest roles. It's kind of cool that he got to work with the Three Stooges. We got a space babe for a moment in this one. We have, it's just, it's 1957, and the boys have been doing this for a while. We don't get a lot of the spooky tropes in this one. We do get the goon following them around some, which is fine. We get some panels, sliding panels opening up. That's a trope. So we get that. We do get the hair raise, which is nice. And at the end, we have this woman show up who is also a goon. It's cute. It's not one of their best, let's be honest. 3 points on the tropes. But because the goon is actually flesh and blood, like he does rank a little higher than Peeping Tom. Okay, moving on. Number 7, If a Body Meets a Body, 1945. This is a curly short, always nice. This one, we sort of get a goon. Is the goon itself as good as Don Blocker? Maybe not, but the short is certainly better, and you get a lot more of the spooky tropes in it. So this one, the boys are down and out, and Curly's causing all sorts of trouble, so they let him know he's going to have to hit the road right before they find out that he's set to inherit a bunch of money. So we get a spooky old house as they go to check out the inheritance from his uncle. We get the loud detective who shows up in a lot of programmers. I love the dude. We get him right off the bat. He thinks maybe the uncle has been murdered. It's a rainy night. Everybody's trapped in the house. Pretty good old spooky house kind of stuff going on here. People start dropping. The Stooges are never really suspects, but they're kind of suspects. But we get some dark shadows. We get some creepy people. We get the bird in the skull routine, and the bird in the skull might actually being the real goon in this one. He's got a sheet attached to him, so it's a little bit of a sheet ghost thing as well. We get a sliding panel with a dead body. We get, the skeleton's just not really a moving skeleton, but we still get one. The hair raise, that's worth some points. But in the end, the bad guy turns out to be a guy dressed up as the maid. I don't know. She was kind of a large, beefy woman. She was a little bit scary, I suppose. Maybe I should have given Don Blocker the spot over this guy, but overall, it's a spookier short, and Outer Space Jitters is really a mess. And so there we see what the goon looks like, fully made up, and definitely beefy. Coming in at number 6, we have another Shimp short, Shivering Sherlocks. This is maybe our first really, really good goon. And I was tempted to rate him a little higher. He's a little bit on the goofy side as well, in terms of what he looks like. Played by Duke York, though, a stunt guy who did a really good job. And this one also has Christine McIntyre in it. Hey, when you're a young guy discovering the Three Stooges, Christine McIntyre is very important to you. So these guys are detectives, and you could tell from this shot that they're really, really good detectives. They're trying to help out Christine McIntyre, who owns a diner. They waste a little bit of time. I mean, it's not wasted time because it's part of the comedy. But in terms of getting to the spooky stuff, you got to go through a whole diner routine. You do get the eggs on those eyes where the yolks pop out. That's good stuff. We do finally get to the spooky, house. And we get the famous judge from all those Perry Mason episodes there. And here's Angel, our goon. Now that is a proper goon, although maybe went a little bit too far on the makeup, because there's also a certain air of goofiness to him. Now that's not bad for the Stooges, but it maybe makes him a little less effectual as a goon, although he does have that machete, which is pretty effectual. So they've captured, kidnapped Christine McIntyre and have her all tied up in the chair. You get the goon coming up behind her, who fortunately doesn't take her head off. Now we get the Stooges in the house. We got a sheet ghost who walks away at a certain point. We got the goon ominously following them around. A lot of antics, the head getting chopped off, the chimp thinks is his. They end up dropping these barrels of flour on the bad guys, and Christine gets away. Overall, good short. It scores only a few points on the tropes, but Angel's a proper goon, and I dig that. Number 5, Spook Louder. This is one from 1943, so relatively early. It's another curly short, obviously. Now in this one, we kind of have not goon, but goons, and they're really guys in costumes, but I really dug those costumes. Starts off with this weird professor who's going to tell us a story of these weird happenings in this house. J.O. Dunkfeather is his name. Not a goon, but a little scary in his own right. The Stooges are salesmen in this one. They wind up at this particular house, and it turns out that this professor here is going away, and he needs guys to guard his home, and he thinks they're the ones who were sent to him for this job. And they figure, well, hey, it's better than being a salesman because we ain't selling nothing. So they go along with it. But there's deviltry in the form of Axis spies. And they're going to dress up in these costumes, the devil, the skeleton, and guy with the derby and the shotgun, which is very terrifying. And they're going to get rid of these guys, and they're going to steal the professor's secrets, whatever they might be. We get in this one mystery pies. And in fact, they're a big part of this because as people are doing things, they're suddenly hit by pies, and there's all this crazy laughter. They keep asking, who threw the pie? Who threw the pie? So we get the hand reaching out from a panel and grabbing Mo. Very nice. We get Mo getting his head crushed like a nut, applying the face. We get the devil looking through the window, and Mo's hair gets raised. That's a point. I love this balloon gag, primarily because of the face drawn on the balloon. And you don't know how long it took me to try to get that shot in the video, so you got a pretty good look at the face. I don't know what it is. I love that. Now that I have a good shot of it, I keep thinking I'd love to, I don't know, like try to duplicate it and put it on a t-shirt or something. So people are scared of this thing. They think it's a ghost floating over Curly's head. He's haunted, and he eventually sees it himself and is freaked out. We get a little bit of a mummy here. The skeleton, they're hiding underneath a sheet. A lot of good stuff. This is one of the better Stooge shorts. A lot of comedy, fast moving. That's either Mo or Curly getting nailed by Larry. Mo with a monkey on his shoulder. Finally, the Axis spies get them trapped, and Curly grabs this bomb and holds it back, threatening to throw it, and of course accidentally lights the thing and ends up throwing it and blowing them through the back of the wall, which is one of my favorite bits in the Stooges, because they're standing there, there's the smoke, and then you see them just back there behind. It's a great way to do that effect. And of course, then the pies hit the Stooges. Who was throwing those pies? Okay. So that one rates pretty darn high on the tropes. 5 points there. Obviously, the goons are really just guys in costume, so they don't rate higher than a number 5, but a very solid Stooge short If you've never seen it, you're going to want to tune into that one. Now, this next one, I don't know. Did I rate it too high? Maybe I did, but this one hits me in a certain soft spot, and I was helpless to resist it. Now, this is from 1953, and you notice it's in a widescreen format, and this was a 3D Stooge short called Spooks, with, in my opinion, one of the best fonts I've ever seen. Philip Van Zandt, Tom Kennedy, Norma Randall. The boys are detectives, probably the worst ones in town, but somehow this guy manages to find them. His daughter's been kidnapped, and they need to find her. And so it's a 3D one. So we get lots of stuff being thrown at the camera. There he's throwing a pin at Shemp. We do get a dark, old, spooky house. There's the daughter who has been kidnapped. Now, this actress apparently is a real cipher. She was in like one or two shorts, kind of disappeared. I guess Stooge fans and historians have never been able to find her. So the bad guys have her, tied up. And here's where my soft spot comes in. No, not women tied up to chairs. Come on now. I'm not like that. No, it's guys in gorilla suits. I mean, I think they're funny. I'll watch pretty much any movie that has a guy in a gorilla suit. I don't know what it is. I love it. And we got a dandy in here. The man in the suit is Steve Calvert, who also played a gorilla in, are we ready for this list? Bride of the Gorilla, The Bowery Boys Meet the Monsters, Panther Girl of the Congo, Ed Wood's The Bride and the Beast, Road to Bali with Bob Hope and Bing Crosby, and Bela Lugosi meets a Brooklyn gorilla. That is quite a resume of kitschy B films. Well done, sir. So we get a lot of good Stooge bits in here. Again, we get this guy doing the what do you call it? The needle, at the camera. One of the best scenes. It's bizarre. This fake bat comes at him, and when they look closer at it, it's Shemp playing the bat, doing this really weird face. It's awesome. So Van Zandt is like this mad scientist chasing him around. We get a skeleton. We get people getting smashed over the head. I believe that's Larry. The girl all tied up because they're going to, I think, switch brains between her and the gorilla. Tom Kennedy, I should mention, did a bunch of shorts with Shemp when he was not working with the Stooges. Nice to see him there. We get this absolutely weird, I don't know what it's supposed to be, a wolf with bat ears or something, but it moves. It's like a rubber hand puppet thing. Not a major spooky trope for the Stooges, but impressive nonetheless. Gorilla going after Shemp. So this is all about the guy in the gorilla suit. Does a great job. We do get pies thrown in faces. Everybody laughing. Not one of the greatest shorts ever, but man in a gorilla suit rates high on the Goon scale for me. So it is number 4, but also rates high on the spooky tropes. There's 6 points there. So a very worthy one for Halloween viewing. So next up, another Shemp short with a goon who, boy, you could argue, is this a better goon than Angel? I like him better. It's Who Done It from 1949. Another Emil Sitka. We get Christine McIntyre. And Duke York is, God, I guess he's probably playing the goon in this one again. Well, he does look different, though, than when he played Angel. Duke York deserves some credit. He's going to show up again in this in just a moment. So this is our number 3 goon. Sitka is this millionaire. He's been threatened. I guess other millionaires have died. And so he's nervous. So he calls up some detectives who happen to be all tied up, but they do get away. So we get sliding panels. There's our goon, Nico. I like Nico. I think the makeup's not quite as severe as Angel. So it makes him look a little creepier. Angel almost looks a little goofy. Christine McIntyre, one of the bad guys, the femme fatale in this one, as she plans or plots against her uncle. So again, sliding panels with the goon coming out and scaring the crap out of everybody. I think she was trying to poison Mo there. We get this whole thing with these paintings that are slamming on people's heads, and Mo finally looks behind one, and you get that great face back there. And there we have the Stooges actually encountering the goon, dragging Larry off to his doom, clunking heads together. A lot of good goon action in this one. And we get, well, it turns out not to be a corpse, but sort of like a corpse hidden in the wall. And the very creepy scene of Emil Sitka as he rises up behind the chair. I think he's, a zombie for a minute. We also get this great routine where the lights go out and each person will light a match and then get socked or clubbed over the head, or a plate hits them in the head. Sitka gets it. Mo. Of course, Shimp ends up finding Nico. Larry strikes the match and then gets hit from both sides. But also a smart way to do this, because you notice when the lights finally come back on, there's Christine McIntyre. She got knocked out as well. This was a way to do it without having to show somebody hitting a woman. Very smartly done. I love Nico. One of the memories I have of him, because I think those of us who got into the Stooges at some point, oftentimes they're passed down to us from a father or uncle or whatever. My Uncle Gary was a huge fan, or still is probably, of the Three Stooges. And I can remember we were visiting, we're on vacation, we're at their house, or I think I was at my grandparents' house, and the Stooges are on TV. And I'm watching it with Gary and with my cousins. And I can still remember when Nico shows up. I think it was my cousin Danny, who's real little at the time, says, "What's that, Dad?" And Gary says, "Well, that's a Goon, son." That has stuck with me my entire life. That's a Goon, son. And that's why I like calling these guys the Goons. Okay. So number 2, let's go back to that. So number 2, we're getting up to the tops here. Idle Rumors, Duke York, Christine McIntyre, and Vernon Dent, the great Vernon Dent. This one doesn't score super high on the spooky tropes, but one of my favorite goons, also played by Duke York. The Stooges in this one are bellboys working in a hotel. Christine McIntyre arrives to check in before her husband has arrived. And so they have to take her baggage upstairs. We get some typical Stooge antics. And husband starts knocking on the door, and he thinks it's one like Curly or something, and douses him with water. So immediate, the husband wants to kill the Stooges. Curly gets a knife. So the guy is basically owns a carnival or works in a carnival. And so he has a new attraction, Loopy the Wolfman. And there he is, Duke York as Loopy the Wolfman. Okay, he's not a werewolf, but he's kind of a monster. And that, I think, raises him a little bit above the typical, just weird-looking goon. He's more of a monster. And we find out also that this particular monster doesn't like music. And so, of course, the Stooges end up encountering him accidentally. You see, I think that was like Curly was vacuuming and he almost gets grabbed. Starts playing music, which drives Loopy crazy. He breaks out, ends up throwing a radio and hitting Mo right in the back of the head. It's a great shot because it looks like it's gotta hurt. I'm sure it's just an empty box, like cardboard, but it's a great one. Knocks him on the bed. Dude, Loopy just looks friggin' insane. And I know I kind of marked Angel down for that. Look, I'm a fickle man. I like what I like. What can I tell you? So the Stooges obviously trying to figure out what the heck's going on. Loopy ends up in this other people's apartment. This woman, she's like sleeping with her aunt and sees this dude and just kind of like freezes and runs away, leaving her aunt to her fate. And there's Loopy coming in the window, and the aunt, he's like moving around, shaking the bed, and she reaches back and feels his face. And so we don't get the Mo hair raise in this one, but we do get her hair raised. So that's something. But it's not as good as Mo. It's like a half point. We get a mirror routine. I love the hand on top of Larry's head. So we get a lot of good action between the Goon and the Stooges in this one. And again, Duke York just looks absolutely insane as this friggin' monster. You could almost see this one scaring little kids, honestly. They try to calm him down with music, which obviously is the worst thing they could do. End up escaping to an elevator, but he's in there as well. And he ends up taking the elevator so fast up that it busts out, and the Stooges go stratospheric. So Idle Rumors, a very good short, first of all. Doesn't actually have a lot of the spooky tropes in it, but Loopy the Wolfman, I really love. Okay, we're down to my favorite Goon. The Three Stooges, We Want Our Mummy, 1938, a curly short. I think this might have one of the scariest looking mummies that has ever been put to film. It begins in a museum. A particular professor is missing. The Stooges detectives again are called in to see where he is. They manage to not find him, although they do help load him on a truck so he can be taken away. I love this bit with Curly and this dude where he doesn't really make out with him, but it was rather funny. Okay, Stooges grab a taxi, end up in Egypt. We get them running around doing some crazy stuff. Curly shaking a bath in a mirage. And he has so much fun, the Stooges figure, well, we'll jump into, or I should say Mo and Larry do. And they jump through this trapdoor and find themselves in this tomb. With crazy eyes looking at him from a secret panel that scores points. Knives thrown at them. They're running all over the place. We get skeletons. So we're getting a lot of tropes. And then we have, as they're going down this hallway, we have each one yanked out of frame, one at a time. Whoops. Until this clawed hand reaches out for Mo. Or no, for Curly. Sorry, he was in front. So now this guy's down there getting ready to use an axe on him. They reach through, grab him, and bang his head against the bars. Always nice when you get that hollow metal sound on somebody's head. Again, Curly's still creeping around, finds a way in. Ultimately, they find the mummy. Well, that turns out not to be the mummy. That's just a really weird statue. But they find the mummy case. Here's where we get to see our mummy. King Rootin' Tootin'. Dude, that's like German Expressionism. The weird puffy cheeks and the super long claws. It's crazy. And of course, it's going to kind of turn out to be a fake, but still, there's Curly seeing the eyes open up and of course freaking out. There's the claws grabbing Mo. This one, definitely my favorite Goon. Great design and great makeup on him. There they find another mummy. I believe it was Queen Hotsy Totsy. Curly destroys it, has to take its place. Ultimately, we find out that these are the bad guys, and one of them is dressed up as the mummy. They disguise Curly as Queen Hotsy Totsy. Kind of a fat mummy, but look, there is precedence for that. Ultimately, they find out that, in fact, King Rootin' Tootin' was a little person, and he's in that little tiny coffin. They had destroyed Queen Hotsy Totsy. We get an alligator showing up at the end. Okay, so that one actually rates pretty high. It's funny. It's got a lot of tropes, and it is my favorite Goon. The Three Stooges, scary shorts. Let's go through again. Number 9, The Ghost Talks. Number 8, Outer Space Jitters. Number 7, If a Body Meets a Body. Number 6, Shivering Sherlocks. Number 5, Spook, Louder. Number 4, Spooks. Number 3, Who Done It. Number 2, Idle Rumors. Number 1, We Want Our Mummy. And if we want to look at sort of what rates highest in terms of the number of spooky tropes in them, at the bottom, Idle Rumors, Who Done It, Shivering Sherlocks, and Outer Space Jitters. Kind of in the middle, We Want Our Mummy, Spook Louder, If a Body Meets a Body. The two with the most are actually Spooks and The Ghost Talks. Two of the ones that are not great in terms of the Goons, but, Ghost Talks is not great. The other one has the gorilla. I do like the gorilla, but a lot of tropes in those. Okay, look. It's spooky season. Horror movies, yes. Get a little comedy in there, too. Enjoy some Three Stooges shorts. Check these out. Hey, if these are some of your favorites, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you if you're a big Three Stooges fan. If you've never watched The Stooges, for crying out loud, you got to watch The Stooges. I mean, think about it. Of all the great comedians in the 1930s, who is still like as well known and vital as the Three Stooges? Maybe Laurel and Hardy? These guys, they got amazing staying power. Give them a try if you've never watched them. Give your kids a chance at the Stooges. Yeah, they're going to be bonking each other in the heads. They'll survive. I promise you they will. If you explain to a kid that it's not real, and if you do it for real, you'll get hurt, most of them won't hurt themselves. Kids, they're not as dumb as you think they are. But let me know in the comments what you think of these. If you want to argue with me about who the greatest goon is, please destroy me. Go after me. I deserve it. I dared rank Stooge Goons. I get whatever I get. If you enjoyed these little reviews, please give it a thumbs up. Maybe think of subscribing to the channel. Maybe think of sharing with a friend. I appreciate that. It helps our little channel grow. It's awesome. Thank you. If you have subscribed, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. So until next time, God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Have a little bit of fun. Watch the Three Stooges. Come on. And I'll see you hopefully again soon in Dad's Den of Pop Culture.